1. Prince William honors 7/7 victims at 20th anniversary memorial. 2. 7 out of 7 London bombings, a story of resilience, unity, and defiance. 1. Prince William honors 7/7 victims at 20th anniversary memorial. In a poignant gesture that resonates deeply with the collective memory of a nation, Prince William honored the victims of the July 7 London bombings during a heartfelt ceremony marking 2 decades since the tragedy. This moving event, held at the 7 July Memorial Gardens in Hyde Park, served as a powerful reminder of both the resilience and the enduring grief tied to one of the darkest days in modern British history. The prince, dressed in a dark blue suit, joined families of the deceased, survivors, and prominent figures like Sir Keir Starmer and Sir Sadiq Khan, who also paid their respects with wreaths. But here's where it gets intriguing: the ceremony wasn't just about mourning, it was a celebration of unity, a testament to how communities can rally against hatred/n/nas. The 52 pillars of the memorial stood as silent sentinels, each representing a life lost. Attendees touched the engraved names with a mix of sorrow and determination. At 8:50 a.m., the exact time the first bomb detonated in 2005, flowers were placed to honor the victims, creating a moment of reflection amid the bustling city. The attacks, which targeted 3 underground trains and a bus during rush hour, left 52 dead and 700 injured, a stark reminder of how quickly chaos can disrupt daily life. Yet, as the crowd observed a minute's silence, the only sounds were the wind and the distant hum of traffic, highlighting the fragile balance between normalcy and trauma. /n/n emotional speeches from families underscored the lasting impact of the tragedy. Jill Fawkes, sister of David Fawkes, shared how grief evolves but never fades, while June Taylor, whose daughter Carrie died at Aldgate Station, urged attendees to cherish every moment. Her words, trembling yet resolute, echoed the sentiment that love outlasts loss. The King's message added another layer, emphasizing how the attacks revealed humanity's capacity for compassion amid despair. But here's a thought to ponder: can societies truly build a future where diversity is celebrated, or does history repeat itself when divisions run deep? /n/Nat St. Paul's Cathedral, the national service of commemoration brought together survivors, first responders, and political leaders, including former prime ministers. The 4 candles symbolizing the bombing sites were carried through the cathedral, a visual metaphor for hope rising from ashes. Dean Andrew Tremlett urged the congregation to pray for peace, calling the cathedral a symbol of resilience. Yet, the question lingers: how do we ensure such symbols of unity remain relevant in an era of growing polarization? /n/n survivors like Susan Greenwood, who described the attacks as a turning point in her life, and David Gardner, who recited the names of the fallen, reminded all present that healing is a continuous journey. As the choir sang "You Raise Me Up," the air was thick with emotion, a blend of sorrow and solidarity. The Prime Minister's handwritten note, expressing grief and remembrance, echoed the sentiment that some wounds never fully heal. /n/n Prince William's interactions with survivors like Thelma Stober and Gerald Oppenheim highlighted the personal connections forged in the aftermath. Stober's declaration that humanity will always be stronger than hate struck a chord, but it also raises a provocative question: can we truly overcome hatred, or are we merely postponing the next conflict? Meanwhile, Kemi Lasisi-Ajayo's story of being inspired to work in emergency services after the attacks illustrates how trauma can spark purpose. When the prince mentioned meeting her during a private reception, her response, "Wow, are you kidding? 20 years ago you met my grandmother," added a touch of warmth to the somber occasion. /n/Nas The day concluded, the memorial stood as a beacon of remembrance, but also a challenge. The 7/7 attacks remind us that while we can honor the past, the real test lies in shaping a future where such tragedies are never repeated. What do you think? Do you believe societies can learn from history, or are we doomed to repeat cycles of division? Share your thoughts below, because the conversation matters. 2. 7 out of 7 London bombings, a story of resilience, unity, and defiance. Silence descended on London, and with it, an unmistakable message of unity and defying courage. But here's where it gets controversial. imagine if our leaders today spoke with that same unwavering solidarity. At precisely 8:49 a.m. on July 7, 2005, the busy crowd flowing through King's Cross Station froze. Though commuters still inched forward because life doesn't pause, the usual chatter and clatter simply vanished. Moments before, a somber announcement crackled through the loudspeaker, marking the instant when coordinated bombs tore through that very station, and others across London, in a shocking terrorist strike that ultimately claimed 52 lives and wounded more than 770 people. I paused beneath the harsh glow of a digital clock, joining dozens of strangers in a shared, knowing silence. Some offered subtle nods or gentle smiles before hurrying on to catch their trains. As The Guardian's London correspondent at the time, I remember fielding frantic calls from colleagues, all back then convinced it was a massive electrical failure on the Underground. I had even been briefed that week about official concerns over a potential attack. So I rang a trusted source and asked bluntly, "This isn't just a power cut, is it?" "No," came the grave reply. "It isn't." And yet amidst the horror, an eerie calm prevailed. No one knew if more devices lurked in hidden corners. Still, the silence in stations and on the street spoke volumes. When something truly grave happens, Londoners, often bickering like a dysfunctional family over trivialities, instinctively find the ties that bind. 13 innocent lives ended when the youngest of the attackers detonated his bomb on a number 30 double-decker near Tavistock Square, just a stone's throw from King's Cross. City buses ground to a halt that morning, but by afternoon they were rolling again, and Londoners climbed aboard as if to tweet back at terror, "Not today." One memory that cuts through all others is the reaction of then-Mayor Ken Livingstone. For many, he was an enigma, the left-wing firebrand who flipped the V sign at Thatcher's Tories and later became a constant thorn in the side of the political right. Yet even his fiercest critics had to admit that, in those early years, he displayed genuine leadership. But here's the part most people miss: Livingstone's career arc would later be overshadowed by repeated controversies, shocking remarks about Hitler, comments widely condemned as anti-Semitic, and a public feud with his own party that led to his resignation in 2018. In 2023 he quietly stepped away from politics after an Alzheimer's diagnosis. Still, on July 7 he delivered a speech that could teach today's politicians a thing or two. Dressed in a dark suit, voice steady though emotion flickered in his eyes, he told the world, this was not an attack on the mighty or powerful. It was aimed at ordinary Londoners, black and white, Muslim and Christian, Hindu and Jew, young and old. It was pure, indiscriminate mass murder. He went on to call out the bombers' real objective: division. London, he reminded everyone, was the greatest city because people of every background live side by side in harmony. He vowed resolutely that Londoners would not be driven apart by cowardly violence but would stand together in solidarity with victims and bereaved families. Then he spoke directly to the terrorists, challenging their fearlessness in giving up their own lives while they remained terrified of failing to destroy our open society. He painted a vivid picture of the days to come: planes landing, ships docking, trains arriving full of dreamers from across Britain and around the globe, people drawn not by fear but by freedom. No matter how many we lose, he declared, you will fail. It's startling to reconcile this pitch-perfect moment of leadership with Livingstone's later descent into offensive commentary that alienated a community he once defended so passionately. Yet on that day, he captured something essential: an unapologetic embrace of diversity and a fearless rejection of hate. And let's not fool ourselves, this story isn't just about London in 2005. Across the UK today, communities still strive to live in mutual respect, only to find themselves prey to extremists whose goals are as varied as they are destructive: political, ideological, or downright criminal. 20 years on, those forces still hunger for division. We must, once again, reject them. Controversy and comment hooks. What do you think? Does today's political leadership rise to the occasion in times of crisis? Or have we lost the art of genuine unity in a world governed by outrage and incremental advantage? Share your thoughts. Do you believe that solidarity can still triumph over division, Or has our society become too fractured to ever stand as one? We'd love to hear your views below.